Your mother is sort of giving a pointed look at Isaac at this point. She says, I had thought it rude to ask, as I don't want to really intrude on other matters, but I had heard about the trial, yes, and I suppose in light of this new information, it's only fair if I ask someone accompanying my son, are you alright with all this? It's a weird spot to be in, for sure.
Gosh, it's... When you say all of this, I have a hard time narrowing down exactly what you mean. We've been through quite a lot in the last few weeks here.
And I I read in one of Tessian's letters that one of your companions went missing as well, somewhat recently.
Yes, that did happen. I mean no disrespect, but that's what I mean of if you ask me how I'm doing or if I'm okay with it, you might need to be specific because it's been a disaster, really, in every sense, and I actually had to be I don't want to divulge too much information. Let's just say I had to do something that I was not very fond of, but I think it was necessary to complete our mission.
So then the Faust Dryden of this world was the one on trial, but he's not the one that you're most concerned with.
Tessie nods.
Yes, yeah.
Suffice to say, without giving away too much, the trial is part of the Empress's ongoing initiatives to stop this alternative Faust Dryden.
Do they have doppelgangers in the world of D&D?
Sure.
Or in this world? So I would say, really, it's like my father's doppelganger, but from another realm of our own. And he's here claiming this realm's stature and identity, but it is certainly not him, and I think for everything that my father is capable of, this one is even more dangerous than that.
Were it any simple matter of identity, it wouldn't be quite as dangerous. But suffice to say, we have evidence to believe that this man knows a great deal of powerful magic and an intricate knowledge of technology far beyond our own. And he's gearing up for something big.
Lady Tyrese kind of shoots a look at Angeline at this point. She says, I suppose we should be on our guard then. I don't know that we would be the first point of attack for someone trying to do harm to Aramea, but we are one of the largest cities. Our stature is notable, and while I don't wish to be selfish, this keep in particular is in somewhat of a precarious position, defended well from traditional means of attack, but other means perhaps not so much. At the very least, I think we and the other notable cities all across the continent should be careful with how we proceed, especially if this attack is as much of an unknown quantity as you say it is. And Angeline kind of chimes in. She says, I'll let the Grey Knights know. We can increase our patrols. We can rely more on our network of informants throughout the city, just see if anyone's heard anything. We can even ask around about Faust Dryden if you think that would be prudent. Just see if anyone has heard anything. As many visitors as we get to the port here, it's possible someone from another place who travels to our shores could have heard something. Couldn't hurt to be as armed with information as we can be.
We also know that he has been designing and dealing in submersible technology, devices capable of traveling underneath the waves. So it may be within our interest here to monitor the port, the comings and goings of the trade lanes and such. Keep an eye on any kind of irregularities. I know the seas are, well, they're not the most regular thing at times, but there may be more than just the occasional sea monster out there preying upon ships soon enough.
Lady Tyrese nods. She says, think that to be a wise decision as well. We can glean some extra information out of people coming and going and keep an eye out for any threats from the sea. That's at least something that we're used to dealing with, although this submersible sounds a little different than what we've become accustomed to. She kind of looks over the group. She says, family is very important to me. Has been to the Blacks for a long time. And she looks at Isaac. She says, I hope once this greater threat is stopped that you may be able to find a way to mend the fence to some extent as well. There may be too deep a wound to repair, but perhaps in simpler times there's something that can still be salvaged in your life that can give you a steady presence, because without my family, and she's gesturing at Tessian and her 2 daughters on the alternate side of the table, it drives everything I do. It's important to me to protect the people of the city as well, don't get me wrong. Everything we do for the betterment of the people as best we can, but I'm especially driven by protecting those closest to me. I don't think that's that unusual. I hope that you can find that same peace in purpose.
I appreciate the sentiment. It's unlikely given the situation. My family is mostly comprised of, at best, ill, what's the word I'm looking for? Misinformed, maybe inaccurate, and at worst, complete psychopaths. So probably not going to happen, but in the scenario where my sister becomes the head of the family, Cora will make sure that hopefully the Dryden name can be recovered in some capacity. Which is kind of the last hope.
At this point, there's been additional courses coming out throughout this. We're up to 5 now. Various different. I thought Tessian was dead, but he's just probably frozen again. It's like he really doesn't like the additional courses. He's very upset. And you're now able to use whatever forks you want, but you can quickly see why there's so many put out, because there's a series of plates that just keep coming out in small, but for anybody who is eating them, delicious portions. That seem to be more about packing flavor into smaller bites than they are about, like elaborate things. Knowing how many series of courses they're bringing out, it's not like here's a full plate and here's a full plate and it's now the course 3 and you've exploded. But at this point, what appears to be the main course comes out, and there actually is lobster. Funnily enough, there's what appears to be an exquisitely roasted turkey. There is we're talking like a series of fancy different meats and stuff, which is unfortunate for Lena. But
I look a little sad.
Seeing as the DM of this campaign is very much a meat eater, that's how this is going to go. In your campaign, you can make things vegan. That's fine. Well, there's been enough of a selection from the earlier stuff, and there's breads and other things on the side that there's plenty for you to choose from. It's just the main course is a little bit not to your liking. I think sensing the weight of the seriousness in the room, your mother sort of perks up, Tessie, and she says, well, these are serious times, but we don't have to spend the entire meal drowning in them, I suppose. There will still be plenty of time for anything afterwards, too, although if you have other questions for me, you should certainly feel free to ask, but I would like to hear from you and your companions just some of the more interesting things you've seen out there, what you've come across in your travels, how Thea's doing when you last saw her.
Thea was doing fine. In fact, she assisted us with one of these shrines. As talented and useful as ever. I can't recall the last place. Oh, God, where did we fucking split up with her?
Was it at the ranch?
Yeah,
I think you accompanied her north from the ranch because you were sort of going in the same direction. But then you split off to go talk to Lorena Gray, and she headed off in a different direction instead. But that was essentially the last time, yeah. And it's been... I'd have to go really backtrack to find out for sure, but probably about 4 weeks, maybe 3.
Yeah. It's been nearly a month, but we spent some time on a small ranch and dealt with some of these graver, larger matters, well, with her assistance, and from there she had other business to attend to. We traveled the road, and she split off. She always does. Always busy, always working on something, and I hope to see her again. But Lord knows this quest of ours is taking me all over Aramea, places, even here at home that I wasn't expecting.
Well, it would be selfish to intrude on your time before this matter is dealt with, and quite frankly dangerous, but perhaps if we can get to a more simple time, when things are quieter, we can have the gold petals over for a meal like this, and use that as an excuse for the two of you to see each other again. She's kind of giving you this look of like knowing, like... She seems to ship the two of you.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
For lack of a better term.
When are the grandchildren coming?
Yes.
Huh?
I'm ready to be a grandmother.
Thanks, Mom.
Okay. I'm not even that old yet, Mom. Isaac, with your passive perception, you hear what sounds like the clattering of dishes in the kitchen.
No doubt pulling the knives from their hiding place in the dishwater.
Lady Tyrese looks over at Angeline. She says, I don't suppose we could borrow you for an evening to accompany them, no matter which path they choose. If it's the Cryptwood, you have some familiarity with it, although it sounds like it's a bit of a mess to navigate, but at the very least, I would feel more comforted having someone else there with them. And if it's the Royal Crypt, I know you've at least been down that far, not beyond, but you could accompany them as well if you can spare a night. Angeline thinks about it for a second. She says, I'll have to put out word to see for sure, but I think that should be possible. If they'll have me.
Tessian nods, but then kind of like looks to everyone else like maybe I shouldn't be making this decision.
Yeah, I nod and I say, your assistance will be valuable regardless of which path we choose to take. I think any support we can get is much appreciated.
I would point out that anyone who comes along with us may suffer the same problem that we have every time we go, which is everything about the Kanatus.
By which I believe he means that it is a rather dangerous trap and puzzle-filled labyrinth at times. But yes, I suspect my sister is more than willing to risk it, but I suppose that's up to you, Angeline.
I don't know if I'll have the time to accompany you the entire way in. I'll see what I can do. But from what Mother has said, it may take us some time just to get there. There and back may be too much of an imposition, especially as busy as both the Grey Knights and the Lyrian Order has been with all these petty squabbles and small crimes throughout the city. But when I reach out, I will see how much time I'm afforded and let you know.
Anything would be appreciated. And then Tessin will sort of look to Karash and say, and Mother, I would like to officially ask, I think on behalf of my friend here, he's been looking for his people, Dragonborn, blue in skin. They met a great deal of unfortunate circumstances, I'm afraid, slavers and the like. If we could do anything to help keep tabs on them, gather them up, I'm sure that would be appreciated. And he kind of looks to Karash.
Certainly. Any assistance at all, I would appreciate immensely. My family, my clan, as it were, they have all completely been, well, almost entirely been abducted by slavers, and I've not seen most of them for 2 years now, though I've found stragglers here and there. But unfortunately, we don't know enough about the situation to have any idea where we're looking for that so many disappeared, and we can find so few of them now.
Tessian had mentioned your situation offhand in his last letter, but it is good to know more details. I was putting out some feelers just to see if... I can't really guarantee much in the way of help, but at the very least we could offer a safe haven. It is a place where many ships come and go. There are a variety of places we could put up a grouping of your people, if you can find them, or if we come across them.
There is a place I can show you on a map if we have time later that I have been directing them to. If we can at least get that word to them, but I would ask that you keep the location as close to you as you can. For reasons of safety, I don't know that I would like too many people to know where it is that we would like to regather.
A reasonable request, certainly. You can actually... I'm actually going to pull up the map, because I'm... Is it the Altar Archipelago?
Yeah.
I don't have my map up yet, but I think that's right. It's easy, because if you do mention that, she would recognize it basically as just that grouping of islands. That's well south of here, but it's in the region, so she's at least familiar with the name of it.
Okay. Yeah, I was not going to say it out loud regardless, because I was just going to wait until we were alone completely.
Okay.
Like, yeah. I don't want a servant being around.
What about Tessian? You want him around?
Oh, Tessie. He's my buddy.
It's getting faster, though. It's great.
But,
I love it.
Like, I don't trust the 16-year-old. Like,
sure. She says, we can make arrangements for that. Hopefully, my ability to keep things secret will be satisfactory for you, but at the very least, there was something that none of my children knew, so I must be somewhat gifted with it. That's good. This is stare off suspiciously for hours.
That hit me strangely. I'm sorry. I also just got a very troubling text. So, can you say that again?
She just said she was good. She was decent at keeping
keeping
secrets. She could assure you that word would not spread if not necessary.
Okay.
Crash, are you okay?
I'm
Are you having
fantastic.
trouble adjusting to the headband?
I apologize. My mind was wandering back to my grandmother, and I just for a moment was unable to think of anything but. You remind me much of her, and
Thank you.
in the best ways. not you.
That's interesting. I actually felt like there was a lot of my late husband in you, Karash. Not the dragonborn part, but
I should hope not. That would be at best odd.
more his stature and demeanor. He was brave. Never thought of himself first, only helping others. It reminds me of him to some extent.
You flatter me, but thank you.
Everyone but Isaac to make a Constitution. No, I'm just kidding. There's nothing in the fucking.
Man, that would have been a great swerve.
Are you still? Are you gonna eat 0, Isaac?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my God, Isaac, you're not eating. Isaac, elbow.
When the main course comes and you have not eaten anything,
It's important to always be on guard.
Lady
Karash.
Tyrese will bring it up. She'll say, I hate being a bad host. Is there just nothing to your liking, Isaac?
Oh,
Is there something we can get you?
just stomach's feeling hard as a rock. I'm trying to get through it. I have the best intentions. I just am not there yet.
I'm going to.
Tessie just looks at his mom and is like, One of Isaac's most endearing qualities is his constant paranoia. It is life-saving at times, and at other times quite frustrating.
And I'm just
especially
sitting
when he
here nodding
thinks-
as you're saying all this.
especially as he is prone to thinking that, well, things like being poisoned at fancy dinners and such. I mean, given his family, I suppose it's understandable, but I assure you, Mother, it is nothing against you personally.
Yeah, sometimes poison just finds its way into food. You can't be too careful. That's a Dryden family saying.
Testian shakes his head. I don't think it is, but Isaac, the larders are more than open to you, I'm sure, if you wish to eat later. But
We could grant you access to the kitchen. You could make the food yourself if it would give you peace of mind.
I
Wait.
appreciate it. We'll see later. I have some
Have you been-
rations, but
Have you been drinking water?
yes.
So you realize that the water could be poisoned just as easily as anything else, right?
That's why the water's at the flask, Crash.
Oh God.
It's lovely. It's all lovely, and thank you.
Very well. At this point, Angeline pushes her chair back from the table. She says, "It was a lovely meal. If you would like me to accompany you, I will go make those arrangements now so as not to waste any more of your time. Might take me, I don't know, better part of an hour to go check in, make arrangements, and come back, but if that's acceptable to you, I'll go take care of that now so that by the time I return, you shouldn't have to wait too long."
Testian nods. Yes, thank you.
And it seems we'll have more time to catch up after all, so...
Speaking of catching up, and Tessian will immediately turn to Amalia and be like, I'm sure you have plenty of questions, dear sister.
Plenty of
Is
questions.
Is any place that you would like to start?
She's
Ooh,
kind of like
start
thinking...
with the sea hags. Oh no, the harpies. No, wait, hold on.
She's like, I want to know about all of it. Start from the beginning.
Oh, goodness.
Tessie,
so
where's the washroom?
I don't know, Tessian, like, motions, like, to where it is, I
Yeah,
guess.
down the hall to the left,
Perfect,
easy.
Perfect, thank you.
Theater of the mind, it's fine.
Yeah.
There he goes.
Yeah.
He's method
gosh,
acting.
at that point, yeah. At that point, Tessian just starts trying to give a brief summary of everything that happened. Like, well, we met in, I don't even remember the small town at this point.
Cigar Cove. We went to Cigar
Cigar
Cove.
There were hags. It's how we met Karash and Isaac and our friend Grail, who was no longer with us, and traveled. And, you know, there were harpies in a keep, and we uncovered a slaving operation. And
They were just keeping people?
in boxes, believe it or not, just magically kept asleep. It was one of the strangest things I've ever seen, to be honest. And the sheer industry of it all, conveyor belts for these things and everything. Honestly, the amount of effort and that they've put into just shipping people from one place to the other, I'm still not entirely sure I understand it. But we at least dispersed this portion of it, and he goes on to explain that that's how they met. What's his face? The Lions and the whatever they're called. There's too many names now. But who's the guy that's always helping us out? On
Yeah.
the Crusaders. Yeah.
The Crusaders,
Yeah.
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 With the lion
And,
crest, yes.
With the lion crest. That's how I always remember that in my head. And then, he tries to just sum up our general journey. Yeah, we got into the Conatus. We go to the shrines.
She wants to ask about you fighting a dragon when that comes up as the first stop of the Conatus.
Yeah.
You fought a dragon?
We did fight a dragon. I mean, it wasn't quite to the death, and thank goodness for all that. But yes, dragons are very associated with the Conatus, I guess. I don't know that I would have necessarily agreed if I'd known that at the beginning, but Lena's family is quite gifted, I guess you could say. He kind of looks at her like, do I tell her you could turn into a dragon or not? Like, he's not entirely sure how much. But, yeah.
And I just nod and I say that part of this journey is acquiring new powers that can help bring balance, and some of what I can do is shapeshift into smaller animals like cats or little dragons, or larger creatures like a what's it? A wormling? A silver whatever the hell it's
Silver
called?
dragon wormling.
So
Yeah.
silver dragon wormling and elementals, which I haven't actually tried yet.
Can
But
you show me?
which one do you want to see? Well, tiny, of course. I can't go
Ooh.
large here.
Show her your clumsy cat.
Of course. And then I'll transform into the cat form to start, and then if she wants to see tiny dragon, I can transform into a tiny dragon as well.
I'll say, for funsies and flavor over utility, that you can do both of those without actually expending both.
I
of
was
your
going to
uses.
ask about that because I'm like, we're going to be going to a
You
shrine
have no
tonight.
animal forms left. Let's go.
You're screwed. Have fun.
So you can kind of
yeah.
quickly transmogrify between the cats and the pseudo dragon to show off
Wonderful.
both if you'd like,
Yay.
especially because those forms have no battle utility anyways.
They're useless. So
So
I would
two
like
for the
to
price
do
of
that.
one.
Yes. Let's do that.
She likes the cat. She thinks it's
Mhm.
cool that you can turn into a cat. The
Mhm.
pseudo dragon is much more interesting.
Yes, I do get that a lot. I tell her that like after the transformation, but for now I'll just kind of like, I don't know, pitter patter across the table. I
You-
assume
you
it's
look-
cleared off at this point, so I'm not like
yeah, for the most
walking
part,
over
you've
food.
completed the meal. The,
Okay.
the servants have come and taken the plates away and
Cool.
the row of forks.
Yeah.
She says, "You look different from the ones in the aviary. They don't let me get very close."
And then when I transform back again, I'll say, yes, this form, it's rather unique where I'm from. It is called a fable deer, yes. the tiny dragon is called that, or is that
That's
just
just a
that's just that nickname?
that's just a nickname for you from your grandmother.
I
Not
keep
everything is
thinking
a
it's.
fable deer.
I just want it to be special. Okay, I'll just explain that it's like a
The dinner
unique
party's a fable
dragon
deer.
form.
Keeps a fable deer.
Yeah, so I'll just
At this point, Lady Tyrese, who's just been kind of listening, looking amused the whole time, chimes in and she says, "The reason they won't let you get close to you, Amalia, is because you're too eager to see them." And you see Amalia just kind of like shrink a little bit in her chair. She's like, "I know."
Oof.
The other thing she would ask about is the desert. When you talk about that leg of the journey,
Yeah.
she's like, "So I've read about it a lot, but how was it? Is it as hot as it's supposed to be?"
Very much so.
Hotter.
It's oh, welcome back, Isaac.
It was a nice washroom.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't get murdered in there or anything?
No, I checked the vents. It was clear.
Good. Yes, it was absolutely exhausting. Just being out there, just breathing is tough. It's incredibly, overbearingly hot.
There are a lot of places I would like to go, but I do not think I want to go to the desert. It seems miserable.
And there's a beauty to it, but yes, absolutely miserable.
I expect more details when you have more time.
Of course. We'll, well, I suppose we'll see how things go with this leg of the conatus here. But hopefully we can sit down and go over some of the documents and records that we've been keeping and, well, fulfill all your questions to your heart's content.
She gives you this nod, like where she's excited, but now she also expects that to come true.
Okay,
Like,
that's
mhm.
phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we're gonna do that. Or I'll fucking kill you.
She's the one you gotta be careful of, Isaac.
I'm always careful.
Just blow her away. She had too much energy. Asking too many questions.
She's a spy.
Anything else, just for the sake of expediency? There is dessert.
I will
Tiramisu.
eat.
Some
Can
weird
I
looking
have
gelatin
this?
structure.
Oh,
Fruit.
Tessin digs into the jello.
Especially sweet ice cream. No such thing as gelato exists, so get that the fuck out of here. But if gelato didn't exist in this world, it would be called Fable Deer. Anything else you'd like to ask Lady Tyrese and or Amalia while you have them, just for the sake of, you guys can kill a little bit of time here. You'll also have about a half hour or so to yourselves if you wish to go back to your chambers, prepare anything, do anything else with that span.
I kind of want to ask more about the subterranean tree, but if they don't know anything about it, I might check out the library later and see if there's anything on that, because I'm very curious.
She says, as I mentioned, I've never seen it myself, but from what I was told, we're talking a massive tree, like nothing you've seen before, to where its branches and boughs extend for, to hear it told to me, it sounded like it could be miles. That it sprawls beneath the eastern part of the cryptwood, nearly on the border with the city as well. And I can't help but wonder, perhaps, if atop the canopy it doesn't brush against the undercarriage of some of the paths that weave throughout the city, or the cryptwood itself. The telling of me in the stories was always that it was connected to everything here. It was why the city was named after it. It predates the city itself. It goes back maybe a couple of thousand years. But I was told quite sternly that it was not a place that one should tread lightly. That it was a sacred, hallowed ground that was only meant to be approached by those who had been deemed worthy. When I was younger, I suppose I shared my daughter's ambition. Wanted to sneak away and check it out myself, but they stressed the importance, and I didn't think it was necessary to bend the rules. And now, having spoken to your grandmother months ago, I think I finally realized what they meant. That it's meant for you and others of your ilk, and not for me, despite the fact that I run this city, as did my ancestors before me, that it is not something that we are meant to tread upon.
I just kind of nod and take it all in, and then thank her for the additional information.
I don't know what you may come across there, besides an enormous tree. From the sound of it, there is a large meadowed area that surrounds it, but I don't know what normally would have kept its place there, and if my suspicions are true and there is something else going on there, it could have been changed or altered recently in a way that I would not have heard about previously anyways. But at the very least, if this leg is going to be as dangerous as the ones that preceded it, I would just tell you to be as cautious as possible. Probably an unnecessary sentiment, considering you've made it this far, but hopefully means something.
We appreciate the support all the same.
Testian's just sort of mulling this all over. Like, to him, he's like questioning like history and how much he's been told is correct, and like he's just, it gets a lot, and he's just like, yeah, man, it's, yeah.
He's going full Isaac.
He's going full Isaac, but like it's not who's poisoning the food. It's like how many secrets are buried on top of secrets.
Poisoning your mind, man.
Just for being in the radius of the tree, you've been exposed, man.
It's the 5G, mothers. They're getting in your head.
That's how you get the radiation poisoning. Anything else for the two remaining family members in the room, for lack of a better term? It always feels weird to say blacks.
Oh,
Yeah. That's the, I didn't name this. This is not my doing, other than
no,
Black
I mean, if
Arbor.
Amalia's got any particular questions,
Okay.
but otherwise, no.
I would encourage you to rest a bit before your journey. from what I know about how deep this could be buried, it may take a couple of hours, if not longer, to make your way down to this place, and then who knows how long the shrine itself could take. But maybe take a moment. You have graced me with your company for long enough. You're welcome to stay, but if you have other matters you'd like to attend to, knowing Angeline, I suspect she'll be back in the next 30 minutes or so.
I will give her a nod, and thank her for all of her hospitality and information, and that we will prepare as needed. And then with that, I'll probably head out. I'll curtsy before I go, try to
Sure.
act like what I'm supposed to be, and then head off.
I'll go. Now would be as good a time to any to pull Mom aside and show her or tell her about the specific location of the altar archipelago. Oh God, the place, the thing.
Mm-hmm. It's a clumsy name. And out of respect for what you had mentioned you had been through, I mean, she doesn't seem concerned about the servants overhearing, but because you seem to want to, she does kind of like step aside, and you can talk in hushed whispers and point it out to her on the map. And
yeah, I like with the understanding that keep it limited to only the most trusted person you would have also be willing and able to speak to anybody they met that was a dragonborn. So
she says, I can keep this relatively quiet. At least a couple people at the docks would need to know to make sure we can find anyone who comes our way, but I'll make sure we keep it as tight-lipped as we can.
Thank you. I appreciate it immensely. And thank you also for your wonderful son. He has been a remarkable companion on this few weeks that we've known each other.
Isaac's just jealous because his dad would never say that.
If your perception check is high enough, you notice Isaac's eyes rolling back so hard the ceiling is damaged.
You'll have to pay for that.
I'm anything charming. Back up.
Mm-hmm. She says,
Crash
well,
is a sheer force of personality, and that is it.
Karash is like, your son has been so splendid, and like under his breath to him, I just.
She says, I did send him along hoping that he would be of use, but I must admit I am pleased to see that he has ingratiated himself with the rest of you so well, and that he has contributed. It's important that we all carry our weight, but more importantly, it seems like what you're doing is vital and necessary and dangerous. The more of you that are skilled, the better. So it does me well to hear that.
No.
Yeah. All right, bye.
I was just, well, in my head, I'm like, I don't have anything else, because I have something in the back of my head, but I'm just gonna go with I'm not smart enough to figure it out. So I'm gonna offer up any thoughts or suggestions that smart Karash might have regarding the defense of the actual harbor from a submersible. But unfortunately, Mike is coming up goose egg on anything that would be helpful. So I was like, like landmine or underwater mines. I'm like, it could probably make those, but Karash wouldn't know how to design them. So
yeah.
Yeah,
Despite
so
his,
you know how to think about it, yeah.
Yeah, despite his newfound intelligence, he's not the most technologically inclined.
no. He and conceptually he might be able to come up with them, but and knowing whether or not they could even be done, whatever.
So
you know what? I'll suggest it regardless. I will suggest to her the contrivances necessary to keep them buoyant underwater, and chained down to something on the ground so that they remain stationary in the water, and the idea of a thing that could explode when something comes close, but whether it's mechanical or magical means that would be necessary to make something like that happen, he doesn't know. But the idea of it, I think he would be reasonably able to come up with.
As you're describing some of this, she does say in response, my current husband has been looking for new ways to, well, in his words, improve the life of people in the city, but he's been dabbling in some of these more technological approaches. He's especially fond of his thunder cannons. I didn't really approve of him using some resources in this manner, but maybe they'll turn out to be useful as well. They would help with something that was underwater potentially, and maybe other threats too, depending on what exactly this doppelganger is going to bring to our shores, if anything. Maybe they strike elsewhere, but perhaps Nikolai's ambition might actually lead to something for once. That would be nice. I'll pass it on.
There's no comment from Tessian about anything involving his father.
Hmm.
I am. Would it be possible to see an example of a thunder cannon this evening, if only for a moment? I must admit a curiosity.
I have 2 on my belt, Garage, if you want to see those.
Yes, and one in your pants, I'm sure, as well.
Ha!
Not quite.
That is a joke, Isaac.
They're essentially magically infused guns. I don't know that we could get one here by the time Angeline will return, but if you've seen guns, you have a basic idea. These supposedly are able to borrow the powers of certain elements, in this case especially lightning and thunder, to augment what are already relatively powerful weapons. They are somewhat portable, but they're a little bit unwieldy, I suppose. To me, the Archers of the Lyrian Order are more than sufficient for almost anything we have to deal with, but I will admit they may not do much against an underwater vehicle of some kind.
Or they might do wonderfully against one, though I don't know how you would test that. I am, again, afraid I'm not I'm not capable of commenting on such things, though I like the idea of certainly testing it.
Well, it's at the very least good to bring up. It's something we can think about, and like I said, we've made a little bit of inroads on that in ways that I did not previously approve of, but nonetheless, if you can make use of something, make use of it, I suppose. I thank you.
You're quite welcome, and good night. I'll wander back into my room.
If you need anything else, just ask someone nearby, as you probably already have been, and if you need to reach me, just let them know. Should not be hard.
Thank you very much.
Have a pleasant evening, and she wanders off and jumps out the window.
Oh my god.
Alley-oop. Anything else you guys would like to do with this little bit of time you have before Tessian's sister returns?
I'll change back into my regular clothes. Make sure all my gear that I don't use is secure. And just prep mentally for this shrine.
I'm gonna go eat rations. I'm so hungry.
Isaac's so dumb.
Isaac, I'm gonna follow you. Isaac, in the future, if you would like, let me know ahead of time, and I can prepare a spell specifically for this. You don't have to run around worrying about poisoned food every time we stop with a meal with someone else that's prepared it.
Wait, what's the spell?
It's literally to detect poison or food. What do you mean?
Why has it been this long and I don't know if you can detect poison in food?
Literally, I was a moron until a few hours ago. I don't know what to tell you.
There's only 2 things to know about me. My name is Isaac, and I'm always looking for poison. It's fine.
Sorry.
You're right. I'm going to calm down. Thank you for sharing, Karash. I will take advantage of that in the future.
You're quite welcome.
Actually, there's some leftovers on the table if
I can't. I have to. It will require an evening's rest before I will am able. But
Well,
for
then
this
how is it
evening,
going
I'm
to do
afraid.
me any good in the future?
In the future, I will have already prepared it.
Ah. Okay. Well, it's good to know. Back to rations.
Oh God.
And they're enough to fill, but they are pretty unsatisfying in light of what appeared to be a splendid meal. Disadvantage for the rest of the night.
Woohoo!
So, because it's most convenient and because Tessian's gone again anyways, which we'll
You know, sometimes I disappear. It happens.
we'll see how if I can devise a solution to this in the next couple weeks, probably. So we'll leave off there, even though it's a bit of a different point than I was expecting. It won't be too hard to do the next thing before the shrine. So next time, Tessian's sister returns, murders all of you, and then drags your
Except
corpses.
Isaac, because
That's where
he
he's
was
prepared.
waiting.
Yeah, you guys can have a shootout.
Lord Almighty.
You can have pistols at dawn. And yeah, so next time, you guys have to decide which path to take and how to get to this particular shrine, then see what awaits you, both outside of it and inside, next time on the Anachroschism.